Was my voice heard back there?
Yes.
Without
We are now using the mic. If it needs to be turned up, just please let me know. If not, thank you very much.
As I was saying, we are sponsored by the Citizens for Race and Amity.
Lift up your foot. There you go.
As many of you know, I can't see your beautiful faces, but I can feel your energy today. Yes, I thought maybe before we started the program that I would just share with you a little something about who we are, the Citizens for Race and Amity now. My wife told me, she said, don't tell any jokes because she said this is a very important message you have for them today. So, but maybe I can sneak in a little funny little cute story. Right. Many years ago, my friend had told me that he was coming from the airport, and this is a true story. He's coming from the airport, and he met this young lady who had a little child with her. And he said, he went over to the little child, and this was on a Sunday afternoon, and he went over to the little child, and he said to her, what did you learn in children's classes today? And she said, I learned that God is one, and I am three. Sorry, yeah. And that's probably what our group is about. It's about the spiritual significance and principle of the oneness of the human family. That there's just one family, one race, the human race. And this is basically what we base most of our teachings together. But we met 2 years ago in my living room, a group of us. And we were just hearing about what was going on in Boston. There was this the beautiful, great celebration for Race Amity Day observance in Boston. And because what had happened is that 13 different hopefully in the future, 13 different cities in the metropolis of Boston had signed a proclamation to observe Race Amity Day on the second day in June, second Sunday in June. And that was exciting, so much excitement we had in our group that you could feel the energy and the spirit of it all. And the director of the National Center for Race Amity that's located in Boston, he asked us if we would help to spread the word throughout the western part of Massachusetts about this campaign to try to establish a state observance for Race Amity Day. And the governor of this state has already signed a proclamation to observe it for this year. But to make it permanent, we have to get busy and do a little footwork. We have to get the state representatives and state senators to ratify it and make it official for the whole state. And we will be the first state in the United States that will be observing Race Amity Day. So. And so our group was so excited about it that we also took their goal as to be one of our goals. And the other goal, which is a shorter goal, but in order to sustain that energy, that excitement, that motivation that everybody had from the activities that happened in Boston, then the National Center for Race Amity, they produced a manual. Well, it's not just a manual, it was guidelines on how we could establish all across the whole city neighborhood dialogue groups. And done it in Boston and many cities, and they become a model. So we have a model to follow, to be able to establish neighborhood dialogues all through Amherst. And this is one of our short-term goals. And so, if you would like to work with us to help us with this ongoing struggle to bring friendship amongst all the friends, the people in our community and elsewhere. Now, this is, people might say, hey, no big deal, you know, but it's a small step in the right direction to make friends. And on that friendship, make those bonds of friendship, we can build trust. And that is what's needed today, right? Right. And so even though, but it's an important step, even if it's only a small step. So I can feel the hook. They're trying to get me off. That guy that comes with me, he's talking to me too. Arthritis. So, dear friends, what race amity means is simply making friends. And you know, when we think about it, a family is one of the people that we can come to help us when we're in need, when we need their support. And who are the next group of people that we can go to? Friends, baby, friends. And so it's very important that we try to develop really good bonds with each other one by one. Thank you. So now, I'd like to introduce you to your host and my best friend. Ash Hot. No hook.
There's no hook here, but just a hug. I want everyone to give Ray a happy birthday clap. This young man, he's 50 years old with 39 years of experience. Oh, 40 years. That's right. 40 years of experience as of 3 days ago. And this guy is still standing and going strong. Thank you, Ray. Thank you. Today, our celebration of Black History Month is a celebration of the vision and the courage of so many people here and in this country and worldwide who have absolutely dedicated themselves to racial justice and to crossing those barriers. And those barriers are very much with us. Even though some would like to deny it, they still exist. So we think there's a lot of work to do. And later in this program, I want to honor other groups that are working on this as well, because I think the awareness is growing that this is something that we can't just say it's just legal. It has to be kind of a shift of culture. So that's our program today, and we're really happy to have Barbara Love, who's going to help facilitate it. Barbara. And music knits souls together. We know that all social movements are driven often by the music, and we're so happy for the Amherst Gospel Choir to be with us today. We're going to open with a prayer, and then a short tribute to Nelson Mandela, and then a short tribute to a surprise hero in our midst. And let's start with the prayer.
O divine providence, This assemblage is composed of thy friends, who are attracted to thy beauty, and are set ablaze by the fire of thy love. Turn these souls into heavenly angels. Resuscitate them through the breaths of thy Holy Spirit. Grant them eloquent tongues and resolute hearts. Bestow upon them heavenly power and merciful susceptibilities. Cause them to become the promulgators of the oneness of mankind and the cause of love and concord in the world of humanity, so that the perilous darkness of ignorant prejudice may vanish to the light of the sun of thy truth. This dreary world may become illumined. This material realm may absorb the rays of the world of spirit. These different colors may merge into one color, and the melody of praise may rise to the kingdom of thy sanctity. Verily thou art the omnipotent and the almighty.
A giant of race amity just passed this last in December, Nelson Mandela, and we'd like to take a few moments of silence for a short passage and a moment of silence to pay tribute to Nelson Mandela.
Tribute to Nelson Mandela, who passed away in December 2013. Nelson Mandela was the last great liberator of the 20th century. Like Gandhi, he would lead a resistance movement, a movement that at its start had little prospect of success. Like Dr. King, he would give potent voice to the claims of the oppressed and the moral necessity of racial justice. His eloquent statement at his public trial speaks to his accusers and onto the world. I have fought against white domination, and I have fought against black domination. I've cherished the ideal of democratic and a free society, in which all persons live together in harmony and with equal opportunities. It is an ideal which I hope to live for and to achieve, but if needs be, it is an ideal to which I'm prepared to die. There is a word in South Africa, Ubuntu, a word that captures Mandela's greatest gift, his recognition that we are all bound together in ways that are invisible to the eye, that there is a oneness to humanity, that we achieve ourselves by sharing ourselves with others and caring for those around us. We can never know how much of this sense was innate to him, or how much was shaped in a dark and solitary cell. But we remember the gestures, large and small, that reveal the depth of his empathy and his understanding. He not only embodied Ubuntu, he taught millions to find that truth within themselves. So this is an extract from a tribute given by President Obama at the Mandela Memorial in South Africa. So if we could take 3 minutes of silence on this memory. Closer to home, right here in Amherst, we also have heroes. We have those who have had, with their courage and their vision, have fought against racism and have suffered for it and lived for it. And I'd like to pay tribute to just one of the Freedom Riders. Jean Denton Thomas was born in Louisiana.
before the age of 20, she was active in the in CORE and the Congress for Racial Equality, and she joined the Freedom Riders. And of course, CORE was the major force behind the Freedom Rider, and was arrested in a trailway station in 1961. And after getting bailed out, there she is. She, along with many others, really suffered, but really continued and persevered. And Jean continued. She, after bailing out of jail in Jackson, she returned to New Orleans and trained Freedom Riders to go into Jackson. And she continued to do sit-ins and picketing for several years and civil rights work elsewhere in the South, including Canton, Mississippi, after Medgar Evers was murdered, and in North Carolina. Jean moved to New York City in the mid-60s, and she continued to work with the local CORE chapters and into the late 60s. She was involved in civil rights, anti-war, and feminist efforts in Berkeley and San Francisco. And Jean now lives right here. And Jean, please. Citizens for Race Amity now, and continues that good work. So, now a big hand for the Amherst Choir, and we're going to have a couple of songs and then turn it over to Barbara Love. You want that pushed back? Let's see if we can do this.
This is the song, I don't know if you were at the Martin Luther King breakfast, but Dr. Nzamo Mengaliso spoke about what this means. And it was a song that was sung often when people were condemned to death. And they said, what have we done? Is the word, what have we done? It's a rhetorical question because they hadn't done anything. But sentenced to death anyway, they went bravely and they sang this song, Senzena, understanding the righteousness of their cause. I imagine that Nelson Mandela had that song in his heart as well. Today we're singing.
One second.
The Green Book? Yes. Wonderful, but my husband wrote.
October, you all remember October. It was beautiful. You have some recollection of October. And I misestimated the tenacity of fall and the approach of winter. So I'm on the track and darkness was falling faster than I had anticipated. Okay? So here I am on the track in my sweats with my what? Hoodie. And darkness is falling. And I'm thinking, oh my God, I'm going to be on the track and it's going to be dark. And here I am out here by myself. Usually I walk with somebody. This time I was walking alone. And then I looked up and I saw a woman, a white woman, walking ahead of me. And I said, oh, great. You know, I'm not out here by myself. There she is, and here I am. And if something comes up with me, she can call for help. And if something comes up with her, I can call for help. And we're out here together. And just as though she was listening to my thoughts, she looked back, she saw me, and broke into a run. Got to her car, slammed the door, and locked it. And I thought, oh, well, so much fun. We're out here together. At the time, I didn't have enough awareness to appreciate the fact that I'm in Massachusetts and we don't have stand your ground. Because if I had been in Florida and she ran to her car and took out her gun and shot me because she was afraid, you follow what I'm saying? She would have been justified in feeling afraid for her life, and I could have been dead. What an extraordinary thing. So for us to come together and put our minds toward building these relationships with each other in our town, in our community, in our state, is an extraordinarily important thing. So thank you. Thank you for your intention, thank you for your attention, and thank you for your commitment to doing this. Now, I have 4 questions I'm going to ask you, and I'm going to walk you through these questions one by one. Before walking you through these questions, I want to give you some guidelines for this dialogue, because to respond to these questions, I'm going to ask you to talk to each other. Now, the guidelines are these. You will get a turn to talk, so this won't be a free-for-all dialogue. This is going to be a structured and guided dialogue. You'll get a turn to speak, and you'll get a turn to listen. And when it is your turn to listen, you have a very important job. Your job as listener is to look really interested in what the speaker is saying. You get to look really interested, and you get to hold any judgment. In fact, you get to hold any comment at all. Because when it is their turn to talk, they will talk, and you're the listener. And then you'll get a turn to be the speaker, and they'll be the listener. And looking interested means that you can't look at your watch and, you can't pat your foot and you gotta really, you know how to look interested. Well, I tell you, you know how you feel when somebody else looks like they're not interested in what you're talking about. So your job is to give the person who is speaking with you the impression that you are keenly interested in what they are saying. Is that good?
Yes.
Okay. So, first of all, I'm going to ask you, what is your vision of race amity? What would that look like in this community, in your community? Now, what I'm going to ask you to do is find a partner, somebody that you did not come with. So you might have to walk around, find a partner, and then I'm going to give you the next set of instructions. So get a partner. Everybody, get a partner.
But somebody you don't know.
I can't be a partner.
You could. We don't actually. We a three-way.
You can join us if you want. You just grab a chair and join us. Grab that. You can join us.
Excuse me!
You can't just say I'm your friend. It's not that.
Okay, so as soon as you get your partner, please find a place to sit together. Now, decide who will be A and who will be B. Is there somebody still looking for a partner? Raise your hand if you're looking for a partner. Okay, there's your partner right there. Okay, decide who's going to be A and who's B.
Yeah.
All right, with all my A's, raise your hand. A's, raise your hand. A's, raise your hand. Can we decide right there who's A? Okay, thank you. B's, raise your hand. B, raise your hand. Okay, and do we have any C's? Cool. Now, when it is your turn to talk, I'd like you to tell your partner what your vision of race amity is. And I always like to start with vision because we've got to be able to envision it in order to be able to make it happen. Without a vision,
The people will perish.
People perish, yes.
we gotta have a vision. And you get to share your vision. So this is the first step, telling your partner here now. Let's start with B. B, you're the speaker. A, you're the listener.
People perish. That's in the Bible. It's a Bible scripture. First of all, based on the scripture, that we wouldn't be afraid of approaching other human beings. I have such fear. I never know. I feel like I could get I have a fear of being stopped by the police.
I'm going to ask maybe 3 or 4 people who might be willing to share your vision with the rest of us. I'd love it if everybody had a chance to share their vision. I think that would be fabulous. But the time will run out before we had a chance to do that, and we wouldn't get to the second question. So, 3 people who might be willing to share your vision of race amity with the rest of us. 3 hands. I see 1, 2, 3. 3A.
No. She put my hand down. I swear I'm innocent.
Thank you.
My name is Kathleen, and my vision is a community and a country where white families are able to talk with their children about race and racism in authentic conversations that encourage their children to take a stand against racism and know what it looks like so that they can do so.
Thank you. Thank you. And where was my 2? 2. Yes. If you will stand and yell.
I'm Emily Starkweather, and I have always loved black people. I am not afraid of men or women. I think we need some kind of a little logo as we move forward, like a political campaign, getting the word out.
Okay.
Who knows how far it would go?
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Michael. I'm part of the Race Amity group in Amherst here. And I would like to see a society, and I'm going to use this word, but don't use it in the way that it's always been used. I would like a colorblind society. But if we do have races which are socially constructed, we should be able to respect someone from the other race and learn about them, rather than the demonization and things that are happening in Florida.
All encourage everyone to keep thinking about and reflecting on your vision for what a world, a community, a town characterized by race amity might look like. What would that look like? Now, here's my second question, and for this second question, I'm going to ask each group of two to get together with another group of two. Do that, and I'll give you the second question. Make a little circle. I'm sure you have about what you might do. And I cannot possibly overemphasize the significance of you doing something. How does change happen in the world? Well, my mother, God rest her soul, used to tell us about God would do this. God would do this. Turn it over to God. And I would say to her, Mom, whose hands does God work with? The only hands he has are these hands. I'm using up my time, but I'm still going to tell this little short story. I'll tell this little story. See, this two brothers, one was a preacher, one was a farmer. And the preacher went to visit the farmer. And on the way home from the airport, used to be the train station. On the way home from the airport, the farmer looked at these fields of wheat. Preacher said, farmer said, look what I did. Preacher said, yeah, you and God. Farmer said, look at these fields of corn I raised. Preacher said, yeah, you and God. Farmer said, look at these fields of vegetables I raised. Preacher said, yeah, you and God. Then they came to these fields of weeds. Passed by another field of weeds. Farmer didn't say nothing. Finally, the preacher said, well, what happened to those fields? Farmer said, I let God have them by himself. All right? If you want a community characterized by race amity, who gonna have to do it?
You do.
You're gonna have to let God. So, one more story before they take the mic. And this is a story about a woman who lived in a village who was reported to be very, very wise. And there were two boys in this village who said, nobody can be that wise. And they said, you know, we're going to prove that this old woman cannot possibly be that wise. So, they fixed him up a plan. They said, here's what we're going to do. We're going to go into the forest. We're going to get us a bird. And we're going to approach this old woman with a bird in our hand behind our back. And we're going to ask her, what are we holding in our hand? And she will never be able to guess it. But just in case she can guess what we're holding in our hand, let's just say she comes up with the idea that we have a bird. We're going to ask her if the bird is alive or if the bird is dead. And if she says that the bird is dead, we're going to hold out a live bird. And she will be wrong. And we will prove that she's not so wise. And if she says that the bird is alive, why? We'll just break its neck. And we'll hold out a dead bird. And she'll be wrong. Any way it goes, we'll prove that she's not so wise. And so they did. They went into the forest. They got a bird. They approached the old woman holding the bird in her hand behind their back. And they said, old woman, tell us, what are we holding in our hand? And she thought, and she thought, and she thought, and she finally said, you're holding a bird. Well, they were a little surprised, but they knew that their plan could not fail. So they said, punchline, tell us, old woman, is the bird alive or is the bird dead? And she thought, and she thought, and she thought about it for a while, and she finally said, the bird's future is in your hands. Amherst can have a community characterized by amity, by care, by connection, by relationships across boundaries. It's in your hands. I'm glad, because I know you can do it.
have a lot more to share. And instead of actually having a large reflection, I actually want us to recognize that, you know, the Citizens for Race Amity group was formed shortly after we had a celebration of Black History last month, when, last year, thank you, last year, and it was very vibrant, and it was kind of the impetus to say, let's do this again, but let's actually not just do it, but let's move on and actually start to look for ways of organizing events and activities that can deepen this process across racial and class and cultural lines. And so that's what we're here for today, is actually to kick off the next stage in this. Sorry. No, that's okay. But the really important thing is that we're not doing this at all alone. There are other organizations in this town and in this area that are also on this wagon of change. And I'd like to acknowledge them and give them the floor and ask them to have some reflections and announce anything that may be coming up that we should be aware of. And I immediately think of Russ and the group. I'll call you simply Coming Together group. Please take the stand here and tell us about your visions.
A multicultural group of us in town, and I've talked with Ray and Ash and Barbara about this. We think there is really a possibility for a major movement for racial justice in Amherst. We are putting together a project called Coming Together, Understanding Racism, Building Fairness and Connection. And the details of it are still being worked out, but we have some preliminary goals. We have a website with a lot of good information on it. And I think I have a flyer which you can take on the way out, which has the URL of the website, and there's the possibility there for you to go and just consider the possibility of publicly endorsing the goals and sending us your information so you'll be sure we get to notify you of events, and also sending us your suggestions about how we can move this forward. I think I'll leave that there, but is there someone from Vera's campaign who's going to speak?
I want to stick in one bit of information, which I'm not sure anybody is aware of unless they walk the streets of Amherst. We have homeless people. They may have a place to sleep at night in our shelter. The shelter may be too full and they have to stay out. They need to feed themselves, so we give them $1, we give them $5. I wish more people would help. Totally off the subject, maybe.
Not really.
My concern.
To add to that, if you want to give to the homeless, there's a cow in the front of Loose Goose. And in the mouth, you put money in the mouth of the cow, and that will go to the homeless.
It won't feed the man on the street who needs a pizza for lunch.
Correct. But I'm saying if you want to
Right.
give to the homeless, there's a way to do it.
The option is also to take that person to a place where they can purchase the food for them. Yes. Instead of just giving them the money.
Let me say one other thing. Part of my vision about Amherst is that we would have a lot more people of color in public office. And those of you who are Amherst voters, I want to draw your attention to the fact that Vera Dwagmany is running for the school committee. And obviously everyone should make their own decision about how to vote, but it is an opportunity to amplify the voices of people of color in the public discourse in Amherst. And we'll have some flyers back there with Vote for Vera and her website on it as well.
Tracy, please stand up.
Yes. Thank you.
Just say a word about your campaign.
Thank you. I'm Tracy Lee, Bouchelier, and I'm running for a seat on the Housing Authority with the same goals in mind. I'm bringing in diversity and giving a voice to those that are participating or receiving assistance through the Housing Authority, which we do not have at this time. So absolutely, I'd love the support of the community when we vote on March 25th. And we also, absolutely support Vera's campaign. It all comes in together as well. And if I can give a little word to Amherst Fair Housing Now, where we are also open to the community and would love, for everyone to attend. And maybe Chad can pop in about Amherst Fair Housing Now as well as the Regional Tenants Association. But in that is also focused on housing, Amherst Fair Housing Now, and equitable
Absolutely correct.
housing and affordable housing for all.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yes, Martha.
As someone who has lived in Amherst since 1970, I would just like for you to know that Amherst has taken a large step backwards in terms of what we offer in diversity area, who's on what committee. It used to be that there wasn't a committee unless you had diversity on it, and that's gone backward.
So thank you
If I
for
can just
that.
add a word to the people that are running for office, I just want to say personally, I think it's very courageous, and I love that the community seems to be supporting candidates of color. But I can tell you from a personal experience, it's one thing to be supported, but then equally important is once they get elected, to stay with them. Because it's very difficult to have the only voice out there and not have your community supporting it.
Thanks for that.
Understood.
That's very, very important. It's not just getting you there, but actually the support. Yeah. Yes, Kathy.
Wearing two hats.
Yes.
First hat is Human Rights Commission, and so I want to say that the Human Rights Commission is planning a community summit for November, the month of November 2014. Our goal is to bring community members together to develop action steps we will take as a community to undo racial bias in our town. So that's November.
Where will we hear about that? Once it.
You will go to the Amherst Human Rights Commission blog, Amherst HRC or amhersthumanrights.blogspot.com, and all of the current and updated information about the activities of the Human Rights Commission are posted there.
Thank you.
Great. And hat too.
Is the NAACP hat, and the NAACP is sponsoring a candidates forum on March 20th. Yes, March 20th. So go to the Amherst NAACP blogspot for updated information. Okay. All right, great.
Great. Thanks for the NAACP, by the way, also nationally, is leading the theme of recognizing unsung heroes. And that's something that we want to actually promote the idea that all throughout this town there are a lot of unsung heroes who can help in moving this agenda forward. We don't have to just take people from the national level or even the state level, but right here. And speaking of people right here, Ellen Story. Welcome. Thank you. And Ellen has brought to our attention that the governor has issued a statement on Black History Month, and
I just wanted to be sure that this got read today. It's medium long. Do you want me to read all of the words?
Yes, please.
That's what it looks like. Commonwealth of Massachusetts, a proclamation, His Excellency Governor Deval Patrick. Where, there are 4 whereases. So you can count. Whereas, during the month of February, people gather together across the country to celebrate Black History Month. And whereas, Black History Month reminds us of the struggles and personal sacrifices of African Americans and honors their outstanding contributions and achievements, especially in the advancement of civil rights and equality. And whereas whereas Massachusetts African Americans have made a great imprint upon our country's landscape. Edward Brooke, the first black senator elected by popular vote, Crispus Attucks, the first casualty of the American Revolution, W.E.B. Du Bois, author, historian, and civil rights activist, and the 54th Massachusetts Volunteer Infantry Regiment, one of the first official black regiments of the Civil War, and whereas our vibrant African American community continues to be a vital part of the Commonwealth's rich diversity by contributing significantly to all aspects of daily life, including education, medicine, commerce, agriculture, communications, public service, and high technology. Now, therefore I, Deval Patrick, Governor of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, do hereby proclaim February 2014 to be Black History Month and urge all the citizens of the Commonwealth to take cognizance of this event and participate fittingly in its observance. Signed by Governor Patrick and William Francis Galvin, who is the Secretary of the Commonwealth. I will just add one last sentence. I never thought in my lifetime that I would live to see a black governor and a black president. Yes.
I wanted to mention that there's also a group nearby up in Greenfield that is quite active in also engaging in dialogue, and I'm going to call on Jackie. Yes, Gillette?
So, actually two, because there's a group right here called CRAM, Citizens for Race Amity Now, and that's the organization that actually sponsored today's events. And so we're planning to take it a step further this year. Ash already told you about the conference that was outside of Boston, and and he told you about the Handbook for Neighborhood Dialogues on Race, a talk worth having. So we decided that we're actually going to initiate, as Ash mentioned, a series of dialogues here at the library, hopefully on a monthly basis, based on this handbook, which is fascinating because it has such a wide breadth of ideas to talk about. So I'm just going to read you a little bit of this. While keeping the discussion focused, we will create an atmosphere in which ideas and sentiments are exchanged respectfully, and everyone has the chance to share and learn from one another. And that also, as we did here, at the end of this series of dialogues, which is, it's projected to be 6, but it could be more because there's a lot of information packed into those 6 sessions that could be possibly expanded. But at the end, the last couple of sessions are dedicated to action plans, either or both on an individual level and on a group level. But a little bit more formal and a little bit more developed. So the first meeting will be on Saturday, March 29th in the Amherst room, which is up on the 2nd floor here, from 1 to 4. So you can write that down if you're interested. Saturday, March 29th, 1 to 4 p.m. here in the Amherst room. And then the second announcement is about Mass Slavery Apology. Mass Slavery Apology Organization is an organization out of Greenfield, and they've been doing some wonderful things. And currently they have 2 ongoing events. One is the first Saturday of every month. There is an event planned. Sometimes it's a film, sometimes it's something else. But there's always an event at the, let me tell you what the church is. It's here somewhere. Right, the First Congregational Church at 43 Silver Street in Greenfield has made their space available free of charge for these events. And I'm going to tell you about a very exciting event that's happening next weekend. But before I do, I want to tell you that also, in addition to these monthly events, they have a weekly dialogue called Undoing Our Own Racism.
Wonderful spirit. Also, we want to thank the Amherst Baha'i community and the Hadley Baha'i community for supporting the event. And I think we should also give a special thanks to the Jones Library for making this wonderful space available to the public for these kind of events. Again, thanks to Barbara,